Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, then welcome to the channel. Sorry if I'm shouting, I've got headphones on. Today's video has been a request, so I love requests. So if you've got more requests, stick them in. We're going to be exploring the relative major and the minor, and I'm going to use the guitar's sweet spot, which I call the sweet spot, which is C sharp, 9th fret, okay? On a guitar, especially a Strat, I always find that this has the most tonal harmonics, if you like, around this area. It just sings for me. I'm also going to show you an alternate E major chord as well, another, which fits nicely around this area. Okay, so basically what it means is if you've got a relative major and a relative minor, it basically means that the minor is sharing the same notes from the major, and they both fit over that major or minor chord. And what's really cool is they're right next door to each other. I'll explain. So if we take C sharp minor, right, pentatonic, you should know this. If you don't, this is it. Probably the most used guitar scale ever, right? So you're starting on C sharp. You can find tabs for these chord scales everywhere. And what you've also got underneath that, if you like, is E major. And E major is the relative major to C sharp minor, and vice versa. They're both married, if you like. So underneath that, you've got E root note there, and G opening at the bottom, right? So what I suggest is you memorize that scale, starting from your E root on your A string, which is your 7th fret. Remember, alternate your picking, it's all in the wrist, elbow's nothing to do with it. So you've got your minor pentatonic, major E major scale, fits right next to each other, sort of fit underneath and over each other. Right, so now you've memorized them scales, and like I said in previous videos, and like I always say, don't practice scales, practice music. Learn the scales, get them into the memory bank, and then practice music. I like to teach students to do this over music, over backing tracks and things like that. So we're going to chuck one on in a minute, which is a pop backing track, not a blues one, because people do say, why don't you do something that's not blues? Right, we'll do it over pop, like a poppy rocky thing, right? Theory still applies, if you like. So around this minor pentatonic, because you've got the major scale notes as well, you've got this note here and that note there, and this note, right? So then you can get creative. Okay, so it's a nice little exercise you can do to get your little, what I call triplets on. And what works really well doing this kind of thing, and I do it quite a lot, and I think people like Hendrix would have done this quite a lot, and Eric Clapton and stuff like that. It's like do little triplets. So little hammer-ons, pull-offs and hammer-ons, like this. So you pick the first note, hammer-on, pull-off, then hammer-on to the note underneath, next to it, in the scale. And you can repeat that, etc, etc. But if you, that sounds nice, right? Pluck the two notes together to make it like a chord. Nice, right? Okay, and obviously bends. And vibratos and stuff like that might leave for another lesson. But at the moment, we're just exploring these two scale patterns around a pop progression, if you like, a major progression. And I also promised you that chord inversion. I'm going to show you that chord inversion, which is really pretty. Love it. Gorgeous. It's an E inversion, if you like. So basically what you've got, to break it down, is you've got an open E string, 11th fret on your A string, on your D string, little finger, whoop, little finger on the 14th. Alright, so go back, open E, A string, 11th fret, first finger, D string, 14th fret, little finger. Right? And then the rest is barred across the 11th fret. And then your second finger will hit the 12th fret on your B string. There you go. That is lovely, right? So hopefully you got that. And also, because you're in C sharp minor as well as E major, why not chuck in a C minor triad? Okay, which is there. So barring the fret, 9th, with your the top like 3 strings of the 9th, and then sticking in the 11th fret on the D string there. Got a nice minor triad. Stick the little finger on the top. Alright, let's get jamming. So this progression is E major, B major, C sharp minor and A. So you've got the C sharp minor in there as well as the E major, which are both the relatives, okay? And you've got the B and the A, which are also in the scale of E major. Alright, that's with a clean sound. You can see we're using the minor pentatonic and the major scale, and we're doing our triplets and all that sort of stuff. Experiment. That's the best thing for you to do, is just experiment. See what you can come up with, and you will develop your own style. Very important. Okay, I'm going to hit the gain. Probably the wah, because I love a bit of wah-wah. Let's rock this out. So, I hope that's useful for you. Like I say, in all the videos, take it slow, make it yours, learn your scales, practice music. Also, one of the questions was, how do you know what to play, in what key to play, what scales to use, etc. in something that's not 12-bar blues, right? Well, it comes down to, in that particular one, and it usually does with pop music and stuff, because it's all kind of diatonic, it's linear, right? It's the one chord. So the one chord in that is E. So go with the one chord. It always comes back to the one chord, so that's E major. So in E major, you can play E major scale. And you've got all your scales that are E major, right? All the notes. But also, you've got the relative minor, which is C sharp minor. Quickest way to find where your relative minor is this. Take your root note of whatever the chord is, the first chord. In this case, is E. And just go down 3 frets. 1, 2, 3. Don't count that as your first fret. 1, 2, 3. That is your relative minor. And that works everywhere. So relative minor of A, 1, 2, 3, is F sharp. Okay? So if you're playing over A major, you can use F sharp minor. If you're playing over E major, you can use C sharp minor. As well as the major, of course. Anyway, hope that was useful for you. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. God bless you. See you in the next one. Here's the jingle. Okay, folks, I did post this question up a little while ago, and I said, why do you think I play with the guitar lead down my trousers? Down my pants, if you're American. The simple reason is, I live in a van, and I'm doing recording and everything, all this stuff in a van, and it's not like earthed like a house is, so I get this like weird hum. But I've discovered if I just do this, and I plug a guitar lead, not all the way in, on the input to my interface that's not being used, and I touch it, it cancels most of the hum, because then I'm earthing, if that makes sense, right? But I can't hold it in my hand and play guitar. So I discovered if I just tuck it in, and it's not weird, all right, it's not going all the way down there, it's just tucked in, it's actually sort of like resting against my hip, if you like, on the skin, and it's earthed. And most of that hum, nearly 95% of it is gone. All right, that's why. Don't get any funny ideas, you lot. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you like my YouTube show, hit like and comment and get involved. If you dig my vibe, then hit subscribe and never miss an episode of my YouTube show. Peace. Till next time.